Hey guys, Z-Man here, and I'm here with GPS,
Hey guys, how's it going?
bringing you another Yu-Gi-Oh video. This one going to be an ABC deck profile for the March 2019 format. So, GPS, take it away.
Alright guys, so the reason I like this deck so much is because it's really flexible, and especially after A came back off the ban list, thank you Konami, it's a very flexible deck. You can really, I like going first with this deck, but you can really go second, and there's a lot of things that you could do with it, and that's part of the reason I like it. So, we'll start off with the deck list. Obviously, you got your 3 A's, 3 B's, and your 3 C's. Now, this is obviously substantial and required if you want to run a sole ABC deck. If you were doing like something like Cyber ABC, maybe you go run 3C, or go down to 2A, 2B, whatever you want. But for this deck profile, I'm running 9 pieces. Moving on, we're going to go to the gadgets next. 3 gadget, gold, and 3 silver gadget. These are really good for link plays, XCs, and even your synchro plays. We'll get into that when we go into the extra deck. But a lot of the times I'll open with Hanger Gadget. Hanger Gadget is absolutely broken. You can even go into Summon Sorceress right off of just those 2 cards. Next, we're going to go into another Union monster, actually, that is kind of the spice of the deck. Toon Torkier. Toon Torkier is your source of your synchro plays. Some people don't agree with running 2. The only reason I run 2, and we'll get into it later, you'll see I run 2 Desires. And if you banish one of your Toon Torkiers, that completely shuts down your ability to go into those synchro plays. So that's why I play 2, not to see it, but just to make sure it doesn't get banished. Alright, so now we're going to go into the hand traps. And you'll see that they're not all the same rarity, because I'm not a sponsored player or anything like that. So, we do have 3 Ash, though, and that's just correct, I think. Effective against most deck types when you're going into a game. Ghost Ogre, not really going off attributes here, but I love Ghost Ogre. Obviously, whatever you have is great, and you'll see what I have to shut down other people's hand traps. And now, saying that I'm not a sponsored player, I actually did pull these 2 cards. We're playing 2 Phantasami, and regardless if it's an expensive card or not, I would be running 3. But like I said, I only have 2. This is a super good card. I would suggest putting this. It goes in every deck. Like Z-Man will tell you, in every single deck. If you got it, you play it. Called by the Grave, you can play them until the end of time. Alright. So next we're going to jump into the spells. That's it for the monsters. 3 Union Hanger, obviously. This helps you search. Like I said, if you open Hanger Gadget, you're probably going right into a link play. Like going first, this card is ridiculous. Also, special summoning with your gadgets lets you attach from deck. Alright. 2 Terraforming to go along with it. 3 Called by the Grave. As Z-Man likes to say, you can play these until the end of time. It obviously shuts down most hand traps, if not all. Like I said before, we are running 2 Desires. I like this for draw power. Can't play Extravagance. You rely too much on the extra deck in this deck. And like I said, I would be running 3. Actually, we were talking about this before the deck profile, and Z-Man was asking me why I don't run 3. Runs down the deck too quick. Just prefer 2. Extenders. Foolish Burial, Monster Reborn. Foolish Appease, if you need it. If you're out of extenders on board, you can, if I summon C and I hang her in a B, I can Foolish an A, and you can go right into your Buster play. Even if it's a Raw Buster. Raw Buster turn 1 is never bad because you can still split, and if you have a card in hand for cost, you can still banish on their turn. That's it for the spells. We're going to jump into the traps. Now, like I said, this is a very I made this deck to go first. So these traps are very replaceable, and obviously you'll see, there's a lot in the side deck to combat this as well. Anti-Spell Fragrance. Shuts down hand traps during their turn. If they call by the Grave Buster when he activates this effect to split, this is very effective if they don't want to activate Call by the Grave. Imperial Order. You are not dependent on activating spell cards, and that's why I think this card is really good, because, if you already have Hanger on board, well, you basically already did the damage with your spell cards, and if you can keep them from activating spell cards on their turn, well, might as well just win that turn. 2 Toronto Tributes. Floodgates. I wanted to run Regeki but then I realized it was a very going second card. So these are what I like to do for Floodgates, just to get board off. You can also Chain Buster to this effect and split and then get all the pieces of effects. It's a really good card. And then Solemn Judgment. Like I said before, only 5 traps in this deck, but they're very replaceable. They're very fluid. Alright, so now we're going to hop into the extra deck for ABCs. And obviously, you probably guessed it, ABC Buster Dragon. You got Banished during either turn, and you got the Split during your opponent's turn. Now, I like doing this. If Buster is not off the field and they end turn, you can declare this effect during end phase just to split and bring all 3 back. Or even if they activate Floodgate, you can chain this, and then all the effects of your pieces go off in grave, and it just sets you up for a good turn after. Going into XC's monsters, they're all rank 4 except for one. You'll see why. Bushin Tsukiyomi, good 2-card combo if you don't feel like you have enough resources. Usually first turn because it's hard to link away or get this guy off board. He's a good body. He's got 2,300 defense. You should summon him in defense position. It's a good idea. The last 2 XCs we have in this deck are Utopia and Utopia Lightning. This deck doesn't have a lot of OTK potential. But when you are going second or when your opponent forces you to go second for some reason, this is a good card just to say, okay, now we got some damage. Buster's really a threat now. Because, you summon Buster first turn or even a second turn, and they're not really afraid of it because he's only got 3k, and if you're not running limiter removal, and I'm not running limiter removal in this deck, he's not really a threat until they're below 5,000 life points. So the Lightning really does a good job of kind of getting your opponent scared of Buster.
Putting the pressure on, basically.
Exactly. Now we're going to Synchros, generic level 8s. Aside from Moto Mega, kind of more of an unorthodox card in this deck. I'm obviously working with Toon Torque gear, running 2 just because you don't want those plays to disappear, especially if the situation presents itself for you to take the win. Second, generic level 8, Boral Load Savage Dragon. This is usually your second turn kind of card play because you need that Link monster in the graveyard, and usually you're usually recycling through a lot of your extra deck before your opponent's turn. So going into Boral Savage Dragon is never a bad idea, just for the negate. Just such a good card and an easy card to throw in here, so I couldn't leave him out. Going into our links, we have a couple Link 2s. Hippo Shinigami, your whole entire deck is light. This card goes really well, giving you a little attack boost. And when this card is sent to the graveyard by destroyed by battle, you can exactly. You can search your graveyard and get another level 1 through, level 4 back from your graveyard. Second Link 2, Clifford Genius, all light, all machine. Clifford Genius is unaffected by a spell and traps, as you probably know, and is really good to go into Summon Sorceress as well. Last Link 2, Nightmare Phoenix. I was debating on running Cerberus and Phoenix and a little bit more of the Nightmare package, but I decided back row is a little bit more important, and the space is a little bit hard to deal with in this deck as well. Speaking of Nightmares, Nightmare Unicorn. If you need a card popped on the field and sent back to deck, this is usually a good way to do it, especially if you're just looking to extend it. Like, you know what? I need another body on board, and maybe you're trying to go into a higher level Link play. Second Link 3, Summon Sorceress, obviously. This is a really good card combo with just 2 cards. You can get Gadget Hanger, and you can easily go into this card. Usually what you're going to try to do with my deck strategy is with Summon Sorceress, you're going to have a piece in hand, and you're going to pitch it to your opponent's side of the field. Now Summon Sorceress is pointing at that piece, or the gadget, and you summon to one of her pointing down links, and usually what you do after that is you link away into Nightmare Griffin. Now this is the other Nightmare I was talking about that's effective, because now Nightmare Griffin is pointing at that material that you pitched with Summon Sorceress that doesn't have an effect, and it's kind of blocking your opponent and forcing them to get rid of it. And if it is a piece, they can activate their effect in grave as well. And going for our last Link 4, obviously, like I said before, I am not sponsored, so this would be Boral Sword Dragon, or a Link that could potentially have better kill power, but right now it's Boral Dragon, and I'm pretty sure you're all familiar with his effect. Alright, so now that we're done with the main deck and the extra deck, we're going to run to the side deck. We're going to kind of run through this one quickly. So we got, again, I'm not sponsored, so we're going to run, if I had 3, I would run 3, 1 evenly matched, goes in match to go along with it. 3 red reboot. This is super good against Altergeist, and I will say it right now, and I'm pretty sure Z-Man will agree with me. I do not like Altergeist, so this card is really good against Altergeist, especially if they don't have Protocol on board. And this is what I was talking about when I was mentioning I like this deck to go first. The 2 cards that I had to figure out taking out of the main deck was these 2. Regehi is super good Floodgate, and like I was talking about, I like my Torrential Tributes because they are Floodgate. 3 Twisters, this is definitely correct in side deck, in a lot of side decks, if not standard in all of them. And then for our last 4 side deck cards, we're going to go actually with the Gamma Hand Traps. This is really good for Synchros, as well as just shutting down your opponent's plays if they force you to go second. Usually I replace them with my hand traps. My hand traps in the main deck being the Ash and the Ogre. So this is, again, what I'll say before we end the video is it's a very flexible deck. You know, you can go first, you can go second, and that's obviously what I built the side deck to do, is to combat that game 2 scenario when you're actually forced to pick or be picked for. So
Sweet. So, thanks GPS for sharing that profile with us.
yeah, no problem, guys. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more Yu-Gi-Oh content from Z-Man. Always happy to show the face on the channel.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.